very good evening to one and all present in the GIBS Talk Law Season 1 on the theme Demystifying Law Courses being organized by the Center for Legal Studies, Geeta Ratan International Business School. On behalf of CLS GIBS, I, Kavya Buddhiraja, Vice President, Legal Aid Cell, extend a warm welcome to all of you in the second episode of GIBS Talk Law Season 1 on the topic Legal Education and Judicial Services as a Career. And I'm very much honored as well as privileged to announce that we have been graced with the presence of Justice Malhotra, Honorable Judge, Delhi High Court. Thank you so much for joining us here today, ma'am. We really appreciate that.
Thank you.
With your kind permission, ma'am, shall we begin with the event now?
Yes, please do so.
Thank you, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you're completely audible.
Okay, thank you so much. That was just a concern. Thank you.
Vakratunda Mahakaya, Suryakoti Samaprabha, Nirvignam Kuru Me Deva, Sarvakaryeshu Sarvada. It means, Hey Lord Ganesha, my humble prostrations to you, who is an embodiment of all wishes. Remembering you, I begin my studies, so that your grace and blessings shall bring success always. It is always auspicious to begin every event by glorifying Lord Ganesha. So, with the blessings and support of our Honorable Chairman, Sir, Shri R.N. Jindal, let us invoke Lord Ganesha by singing his Vandana together. Well, that was indeed an auspicious start to this marvelous event that we'll be having shortly. Geeta Ratan International Business School was established in the year 2004. GIBS is affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi, and is approved by All India Council for Technical Education, Ministry of HRD, Government of India for Technical Programs, and Bar Council of India for Law Programs. The institute is accredited as Category A by NAC in its second cycle, and as Category A+ by State Fee Regulatory Committee. Also, it has been rated the highest grading A by Joint Inspection Committee of Government of NCT of Delhi and Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University, Delhi. GIBS has been rated grade A by the Academic Audit Cell of Guru Gobind Singh Indraprastha University. It has also been rated number 2 twice by the Times B School Survey. The institute conducts various programs under the head of MBA, MBA International Business, BBA, BBA LLB, as well as BA LLB. After the grand success of the GIBS Talks of Management, which started in the year 2020 June, we have now launched the GIBS Talk Law Season 1. GIBS Talk Law is an online program structured to discuss and showcase the main theme related to law, wherein there will be 3 episodes in each season, focusing upon 3 sub-themes of this talk of law. Each episode will be comprising of 60 minutes, wherein an eminent personality will enlighten us on the topic. This 1-hour session is intended to be bifurcated into 2 parts, wherein the first 40 minutes will be focused on the views and the opinions of the guest, and the later 20 minutes will be for the question and answer session, wherein the audience will be asking the questions from our distinguished guest. The show will be aired on our channels every Sunday. GIBS Talk Law on Demystifying Law courses caters to understand, analyze, and evaluate the current legal education system in India. This aims to understand the scope in the stream of law in the present education system. This ultimately leads to felicitation of the legal pedagogical decisions with respect to the needs as well as the objectives with which a law student enrolls in any law course in India. The last episode of the GIBS Talk Law Season 1 was chaired by Professor Dr. Sri Krishna Deva Rao, Honorable Vice Chancellor, National Law University, Delhi, wherein he discussed the practicalities of 5 years integrated law course as well as 3-year LLB course. I now take this wonderful and marvelous opportunity to introduce our distinguished guest, Justice Anu Malhotra, Honorable Judge, Delhi High Court. Justice Anu Malhotra graduated in BSc and thereafter completed LLB in the year 1983. She then joined the Delhi Judicial Service and was promoted to the Delhi Higher Judicial Service. Ma'am is a trained mediator, trained under the aegis of the Mediation and Conciliation Project Committee of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. She is also trained in mediation by the Institute for the Study and Development of Legal Systems, California, and trained as a master trainer by the Center for Effective Dispute Resolution, London, at the International Center for Alternative Dispute Resolution, New Delhi. She has imparted mediation training and trained several mediators as trainers in mediation. Justice Anu has been the director of the Delhi Judicial Academy and is a fellow of the Commonwealth Judicial Education Institute, Canada, and has been keenly involved in judicial education. She has been the Honorable District and Sessions Judge, West District, as well as Honorable District and Sessions Judge, South Saket, New Delhi. She has adjudicated in a wide range of jurisdictions during her span of 31 years of judicial service. She got elevated as a permanent judge of the Honorable High Court of Delhi in the year 2016. Ma'am, it is indeed our honor to have you here with us today. Thank you for graciously accepting our invitation. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would now like to request our Honorable Director, sir, Professor Dr. Hanuman Sharma, to kindly welcome our distinguished guest, Justice Anu Malhotra, Honorable Judge, Delhi High Court. Over to you, sir. So you're on mute.
Good evening, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Participants, I, Dr. Sharma, on behalf of our management, Geeta Ratan International Business School, would like to extend my hearty welcome to Justice Anu Malhotra of Honorable High Court, Delhi, and all the participants. I thank our Honorable Chairman, Vice Chairman, and Dean Academics for providing the excellent opportunity and platform to young generations to understand the legal facets. Sri Swami Vivekananda rightly said, "You are the creator of your own destiny." With this vision, through our GIBS law, we wish to provide a platform to the students to get acquainted with the insights of the legal world and be motivated to pursue legal studies. Today is second episode of our GIBS Talk Law, and we are proud to host it with all of you. I would like to express my sincere appreciation to one and all for sparing your valuable time to make the event successful. Hope that the program would be enjoyable and full of learning for everyone. With this, I hand over to the. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. May I now request our honorable distinguished guest, Justice Anu Malhotra, to kindly enlighten all of us on the topic legal education and judicial services as a career. Please, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you, Kavya. Thank you, Mr. Jindal, and thank you, Dr. Sharma. Madam Sakshi Gupta is seen on the screen, and Madam Kalpana also had seen. Just to put it across, it's 37 years today, ma'am. I joined on 25th July to 1985 in the judicial service, and I complete 37 years today, not 31. 31 is as per, you must have seen the website, and that was 2016.
I humbly apologize, ma'am.
No, nothing. I'm just bringing it across. It's a remarkable day when I start on a journey tomorrow of the 37th year onwards. The topic of your program is really enriching and wonderful. When you talk of it's a very catchy, flyer that you send when you put it as a demystifying law courses. That's really very interesting and very nice to look at it. Now, when we talk of law, when I was just, trying to look into and think as to what one must speak, I was searching for the Constitution. And I found it as the last book on my table here. And above it were all the other books. I was a little upset with myself as to why it had been so placed, but then told myself, well, it's the fulcrum around which the rule of law revolves. That's the bedrock. So if it was there, it is on this that every other law is held by the hands of justice. Now, when we speak of the Constitution, and this is what brings us all together, is that we have to remember our preamble. And the preamble of our Constitution, it's always better to have your books with you. That's something that I would like all law students to remember and think, because that gives you the exact provision of the law. When we read the Constitution and we read the preamble, it speaks to us that we have resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, social, economic, and political, liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship, equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among all fraternity, assuring the dignity of the individual and the unity and integrity of the nation. If we have Article 14 of the Constitution, which provides and prescribes for the equality before law, and states that the state shall not deny to any person equality before the law or the equal protection of the laws within the territory of India. The reason why I read this out and start the conversation with this august audience on this important topic is that those of us who are entering into this domain of law must realize how important you all are, how important this facet of education that you have entered into is. You have Abraham Lincoln, you have Mahatma Gandhi, the father of the nation, Jawaharlal Nehru, Margaret Thatcher, Barack Obama. What is the common thread that runs between all of us? Is that we were law students, it is that we have been lawyers. And thus, you have entered into a very privileged and a very divine area of education. Why does one go to a doctor? I would have loved to, do it live in the sense with a contact. But here, I'm sure the participants are all muted, but then doesn't matter. Why does one go to a doctor? When one is in agony, when one is in pain, it's the same. It's the same when one comes to a lawyer. It's the same when one goes to a counselor. It's the same when one goes to any expert in the field of law. Or it's the same when one knocks on the portals of the court. It's when one has felt some sense of just injustice, or maybe one senses an apprehension towards one's rights getting in some manner affected, that one comes to these places. So, just as a doctor, just as a surgeon heals the body, and the temples and the parish heal our souls, we are able to, resolve conflicts in the minds of people as well as between persons, and attempt, at least I would say, to secure their rights for them. This was just to say to your wonderful audience, the young audience, to bring across to them that law is not the last resort. It is not the last resort. I do not think. There have been lines written sometime. I tried to find it. I had read it somewhere. And I tried to find it, but I couldn't locate the line which had said that the law was the last resort. Well, somebody may have written it at some stage, but it certainly isn't. Getting into the law education schools now is not an easy task. One has to go through various coaching classes, one has to study a lot to sit through those entrance examinations, secure a particular kind of marks, and then reach a particular law college, and may not necessarily be within one's, choice. So, but that is what it is. Just as important it is that one studies any field, be it medicine, engineering, cybers, cyber or science of any kind. Law is equally a science, and it needs to be studied just in that manner, with the equal participation of the academia, the jurists, the lawyers, and effective practical participation. I remember I joined law college far away, 1983. Things have changed much now, but nevertheless, the Campus Law Center of Delhi, we had our case law studies even then. I joined in 80 and 83 I had passed out. So we had those case law studies, and those case law studies, along with the bare acts, one was able to analyze the provisions of law and apply mind. And whilst doing so, one could demystify, as your session calls it, demystify what the problem was and demystify what the application of law was required. Now, this is legal education is you, as I have pointed out to your good selves, it's in, you see, the law is working every minute. And those of us who have chosen this field, you're here to provide justice and liberty to all. Whether you're a lawyer, whether you're a judge, whether you belong to the academia, how you are able to emancipate even thoughts as the law professors is something very important. How one can remove cobwebs from the mind in understanding a particular provision of the law is equally important for its further application. For a citizen, the law, as I said, is acting every minute. Whether suppose somebody is driving a vehicle on the road, drives it at a fast speed, and hits somebody, causes an accident, the law comes into motion. The law comes into motion by maybe somebody coming to arrest that person who has hit the car. As to whether that man can go into custody or not, the law will be able to point out whether it's a bailable offense or whether the man had hit with an intention to so hit. All those culpable aspects come into account, or non-culpability also. Now, when I take this incident of just a hit, it goes on further. Suppose the man was riding a taxi and it's taken and seized by the police, not allowed to be released. The taxi for that man is his mode of earning his livelihood. The continued detention of it and not release of the same on Supardari or to the person who's driving it or to the owner is bound to cause a lot of agony to that person. It may, for instance, be the only mode for somebody, if it's not a taxi or something else, it may be the only mode of conveyance for a person who may have to take his children to school in that, may have to take some medicines to somebody. So the speed and alacrity at which the law works is beyond limits. And that is why, for instance, when you are raising a construction of a building and somebody files a suit saying to the effect that, well, this construction is affecting my air, my easementary rights. So again, the law is brought into motion. What I wanted to bring across by putting these very simple aspects is that this august audience, which is into the field of law and is entering further, is in a very important facet of life, there to help and assist people in getting their rights. So please always feel motivated to do your best at every minute. That's very, very important. As a student of law, the avenues available to you are immense. You may be a litigation attorney, you may be a counselor, as Madam Kavya mentioned. We have now, since 2005 onwards, when we have this mediation into the system and the amendments made in the law also, it's not just mediation, it's arbitration, it's judicial settlement, it's much more, conciliation, all these aspects. You have also the role of a counselor. Apart from, though actually I'm not into mediation training at the moment, mediation is not exactly counseling, but nevertheless, you have corporate counselors also. The corporate field of law is enriching When I say enriching, it means in a different way, not just mentally, maybe differently also. Apart from that, we have now, we are into the world of globalization, isn't it? The world has become very small. We are into the world of cybernautics, cyber law. A lot of trade has increased. Internationally, we have become us. We have all joined together, and COVID has brought us all so much together. There was a time when I at least for me, I would never have been able to run a computer like this. I belong to the completely old school. But COVID taught me. COVID taught me to run the computer and run my court on the computer. And one has done it. One has done it from 24th March 20. It's 22 now. So cyber law is another very important and interesting area. And we have top cyber lawyers now. And a lot of it is going on. Human rights is another very important facet. You have civil services also. One chapter, one of the, through the competitive exams, many get through the same. You have the academics and research. Even the Constitution provides for jurists being elevated as High Court judges and Supreme Court judges in terms of Article 124. And of course, you have, you see, the we have a lot of conversation on what's going on through media trials or otherwise. But if you are well versed in the law, you would know to what extent and to what limits one should write. So a media legal journalist would definitely be much more valued in the arenas of journalism. It would be a great thing if it is taught in law schools, the aspect and extent of journalism with the conjunction of law. The conjunction of it was long ago, maybe about 5-6 years ago, when my daughter entered into law, that I had been looking into the law advertisements. In some of them, I found BELLB. I was trying to find out, not many institutions are running it. But I think that's also a very important aspect where you have engineering and law combined. It would be a wonderful combination in the area of corporate law. There are many writers writing on law, books, blogging, ideas, specializations that take place. You have people working as policy makers. You have think tanks. We have this Vidhi Center for Public Policy and PRS Legislative Research, which needs law graduates as policy analysts. You have several entrepreneurs. You have, even in the armed forces, you have the JAG, for which one appears, the Judicial Advocate, Judge Advocate General, it's called. In the government services also, we have many departments which deal with law. We have the Department of Legal Affairs, the Legislative Council. Proficiency in law helps in all wings, all wings. You can also be on the arbitration and conciliation centers that are there. It's a big scope now. Those working in the area of law can also join as members, of course, after the requisite experience. So I'm just bringing it across that it's definitely a promise of roses. It's definitely a very wonderful area to enter into. One can join as a member of the Armed Forces Tribunal. One can join as a member of the Central Administrative Tribunal. One can enter into their NCLT. There are so many. One can work as a law researcher. Law researchers are working in the high courts, are working in the Supreme Court, We haven't yet started it, I think, in the district courts, the assistance of law researchers. The day may not be very far away. One can work as a public prosecutor, as an additional public prosecutor, law authors, legal advisors to the NGOs. And of course, you have the international opportunities in social work. One can join with international tribunals, International Court of Justice, the United Nations. And there are, of course, a large number of coaching centers now being run where the proficiencies of those in the alumni in this area are doing pretty well. What is very important is that you have uh, a good communication skill, both the verbal and the written. That is a necessity, I think, for any student of law. Because it's not just, it's not just knowing the law that is sufficient. It is the articulation thereof which is also necessary. The mode of presentation is also necessary. And also the mode of writing it as to whether you really mean what you say. When contracts are drafted, conveyances are made, wills are drafted, they are interpreted by the court of law, and how they are drafted, what is meant by it, results into so much of litigation. So that is a very important area in your legal education, that you have effective conveyancing drafting sessions. You must, I think, I myself did in 80 to 83, participate in moot courts, because then one is able to work on the topic live. And working live and thinking live and speaking live and reacting live is a response to a challenge. And a response to a challenge is what helps you grow. So that's a very important area. Then when one thinks of it, you have, of course, from all these, you also have the judicial services. I came to it last. I came to it last because, well, I have been in this service from, as I said, 25th July 2005. And it's really been a very enriching journey. It's really been a very enriching journey. And, well, I love my job. It's but getting to those days and now, things are very different, isn't it? Of course, we also had to go through our written examination and an interview. The scales were pretty high at that time. In between, there was a slight reduction in these scales. It had come down, I think, to 50% or so and 60%. But when we cleared our examinations in the year 1984, I think it was, we had to have a 50% pass mark in each subject of the competitive examination, and a 60% in the interview, and a 60% on the total. But the examination went through a little bit of rough time because there were challenges and it went up to the Supreme Court. So there was a delay in a year. But I do remember having entered into the Supreme Court at that time, of course, as a litigant at that stage. Because our results were under challenge for some odd reason. But when entered into the the courtroom of the Chief Justice, I did wish that I could sit there someday. What I'm trying to only bring out, of course, whatever you dream, you not necessarily achieve it, but it is necessary to dream high. It's necessary to dream high, that at least you reach to to some pinnacle, of success. So all those of you who are here, the august audience, you're all achievers. The very fact that you're here, the very fact that you're here, the very fact that you are concerned and have joined to hear is itself an indication of your forward path to success. Now, as I said, those days it was difficult in the sense it was different, not difficult, it was different. But competition even then existed, isn't it? Whether even at that time and even now, competition always exists. Preparation is necessary. Though I don't think I did get much time prepare, I was simultaneously also very shortly at that time working with a seasoned lawyer, but not much. It was basically drafting. I wasn't appearing. But I got very little time, maybe about 15, 20, from after the notification had been issued. I did go back in each day and study. Study is basically first your bare acts. Bare acts are necessary to be given a thorough look into. And of course, the various law books, the various, what do you call them, textbooks. It's not necessary that you have the end. You cannot. Law is such a vast subject. You cannot go through every book on the topic. One may not even know all of them. But good authors, which the law school teaches you, apprises you, you need to have a look at them and keep a consistent study. And prepare yourself and do your very best by keeping an open mind. And as I said, it is necessary to have good communication skills, even through writing. What you write, in those days, we didn't have this prelims. We had only the straight, what you have, the mains now. That's what we had as the prelims. We didn't have any prelims, and that was it, and that was the interview. So we didn't have the prelims. Prelims, of course, now, because the prelims are apparently there because of the very large multitude of students who want to join. So for that, one has to the kind of questionnaire. It's not very simple. It's not very simple unless, of course, you have the bare acts in Delhi and Haryana. I think the bare acts are allowed. Rest of the country, they are not perhaps allowed. But if you have the bare acts, at least those you should be able to analyze the section and apply. So it shouldn't be very difficult, of course, since I've seen negative marking also now. So unless you're very sure, 100% sure of your answer, don't apply. Don't put it onto that, don't put that tick mark or circle or whatever it's called, whatever mode or format it is. So that's also a very important aspect. Once you clear the prelims, then it comes to the main examination. That would need a little more study, much more study, because there it's just not a tick mark and may not be just a matter of chance that your tick mark was correct. But it needs a real study. It needs understanding the subject and working non-stop. Well, if you work during the day and you have necessarily to do so, spend at least 2 hours per day. Spend at least 2 hours per day, honestly, without any distraction from the mobile, the internet, friends, or otherwise. Makes a lot of difference. And once you get through that examination also, going for the interview, as I said, communication skills are important. What was necessary for the written examination is the written communication skill. For the interview, it is the communication skills orally. And of course, the way you your dress, your attire, your persona, all those things matter. All those things matter if, in an interview, and especially for judicial service. which is considered the epitome of decorum. So for that, you need to be well dressed. I'm not saying that you need to have, you know, a dress with a lot of, which is very expensive. That's not what I mean. When I say well dressed, means appropriately and adequately dressed, as Madam Kavya is at the moment. Very well done, ma'am. So that's a very nice reflection on your institute, that your anchor is so appropriately dressed. That makes a lot of difference. And how you put across, how you behave, humility, but humility with confidence. That's always necessary. Be humble, but you don't have to bend down toto. You have to still maintain your dignity. And then, and of course, sometimes it may happen. It may happen that in your interview, you may not exactly know an answer, or you may not know it at all. Be honest enough to say that one doesn't know it. Or maybe sometimes you may forget it. Then request for a moment. I remember my own interview in 1984. It was the Chief Justice of the High Court of Delhi, and of course, two other honorable judges. And there was a question put to me on an aspect. It related, I think, as I remember now, it related to the Nanavati case. It was a very, very important aspect of the um, trying to prove one's innocence because of the kind of situation that one has put in. And for a moment, I didn't remember. For a moment, I didn't remember. It just happens. But I did request, please give me a fraction of a second, I said. And in a fraction of a second, I did recall. What I'm trying to say is that don't lose your cool. Don't lose your cool. It may happen. It may happen that one forgets. But if you request and if you are polite and confident, I'm sure you can even make that request for a fraction of a second. When I think of myself now, maybe I wouldn't today ask for a fraction of a second again. If today I would be in that interview session, I don't know. And I don't know how one would react. But when you're young, you can, be a little much more confident, I guess. So I've overshot my time. Come to your questions. That's also very important, that's also very important. You must know when to end. For instance, you're going on writing and writing and writing. You're going on speaking and speaking and speaking. Maybe nobody wants to go on seeing that writing because your paper, you have to end your paper, isn't it? You have to end your paper in time. You have to assess that you should be able to answer all questions in time. So put a time limit on your time. And a time limit to your addressing arguments also, because maybe the judge doesn't want to hear so much. Just like that, maybe the audience doesn't want to hear so much, so I put a stop. You may put your questions.
Ma'am, we're actually eager to hear more of your marvelous journey that you have been through.
No, that's fine, ma'am.
Again, thank you so much, ma'am. It was indeed a very remarkable and knowledgeable session. You actually took us through your own journey. And things that you mentioned, they were really, really good. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this marvelous session. Now, to begin with the question and answer session, I would like to inform you all that we had received more than 800 questions submitted by different stakeholders at the time of their respective registration. And I also believe that all the attendees would love to get their queries answered by ma'am. However, due to paucity of time, we are placing only the most frequently asked questions before ma'am in order to have a maximum area of coverage. So with your kind permission, ma'am, shall we begin with the questions now?
Certainly, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. So beginning with the first question, which has been asked by Mr. Ashok Mittal, which career path can provide more independence of work, law practice or judicial service?
Both. Both. Now, of course, as a lawyer, you are absolutely free. As a lawyer, you're absolutely free to choose the kind of work that you do. You are free to take whatever decision, whatever side you want to support. You're free to give whatever kind of advice you want to give. Of course, one would expect that the advice would be within the legal contours of law, but whether it's done or not, I would not enter to that domain. Uh,
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am.
no, I haven't finished, ma'am. Let me just finish on this question. This is, I have not, when I said both, I just want to highlight to yourselves that as a judge, you're also equally independent. Maybe you work on the cases that are assigned to you, cases that are assigned to you, but the only duty cast upon you is to fairly administer that law in accordance with the law that one is working on. And no one on earth can stop a judge from taking a correct decision. So there is no difference in the independence in both streams. Thank you.
Well said, ma'am. Really. Moving on to the next question, which is asked by Ms. Khushi Sharma. She asks, should we complete our LLM before starting our legal practice?
Of course, it would give, as a legal practitioner, naturally, if you are a particular area, it depends on the area of law that you want to work upon. If it's a corporate law, if it's a gender sensitivity law, or any law for that instance, whatever is the domain of what is your subject domain. If you want that mastery over a particular subject, well, you may do your law LLM before. It's, of course, an LLM always gives a greater insight. A PhD always gives a greater insight. It's just, it's like being a doctor and being a surgeon or a bigger specialist into one field of surgery. That's it. So when you have the senior advocates specializing in a particular area, you have lawyers specializing in copyrights. It all depends. It all depends whether you want a vast arena or you want to specialize in one particular domain. There is no hard, fast rule. There is no hard, fast rule, nor does the law expect necessarily of you to be a master of laws when you begin your legal practice.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the next question. It has been asked by Ms. Diksha Gulati. She asks, how important are internships in our legal future?
Very important, because they are able to bring out to you what you really like doing. Maybe, you may have thought that I want to be a family court lawyer, or I want to deal in criminal cases, or I want to deal in corporate cases, or I want to deal with civil cases. But practically, when you work as an intern with another lawyer, then you know how the work goes on. You know how the work goes on. And you may appreciate whether you really want to continue to work in that particular field or you want to choose another field. And it also opens up to you the vistas of the law, as well as the practical aspects, the essentiality of being in time in the court, the amount of moving in the court, the leg running from one court to another. Well, we started with the video conferencing courtrooms now, though we have in Delhi, of course, we are all expected and we all do keep our links open for persons to join the courtroom through the video links. But at the same time, earlier it wasn't. You had to run through to each court, whether you can manage, whether the amount of load of a case and more than one case per day, 4, 5, 6 cases when you become a very successful lawyer, whether you can handle it. Are these, so it's an important reality check. It's an important reality check. And apart from the reality check, you also learn, as I said, the practicalities, which it's not necessarily what we are able to learn theoretically, we are not able to. So one expects that the law institutes give adequate practical trainings to the students. That internship, of course, I think it is part and parcel now of your 5-year programs. It wasn't when we joined, when I did it, it wasn't there at that time, but now it is part and parcel. Internships are very important and take them very seriously, do them with all complete due diligence. That's what I would say.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Moving on to the next question, which has been asked by Ms. Seema Kapoor, who is currently a research scholar. She asks, in judicial services, except being a judge or a magistrate, what other positions can be aimed for? And she's also asking regarding the procedures of the recruitment of judges in India.
The procedures of recruitment in India, madam, it's that you have to apply for the various examinations on the district courts level. You can also, if you finish 7 years of practice as a lawyer, and then join the higher judicial services of the country between the ages of 35 to 45. Apart from that, after this, there is scope for elevation from the district courts. There is scope for direct recruitment to the direct not recruitment, you call it direct elevation to the high courts. There is scope of that even of direct elevation to the Supreme Court. And it's not only from the judicial services, it's also, as I said, the Constitution even provides for elevation to the Supreme Court and High Courts of the jurists and the academia. And apart from being a judge or a magistrate, I think I'd already highlighted right at the outset the various opportunities that you have. Apart from being a judge or a magistrate, you can be a litigation attorney, you can be a counselor, you can be a company secretary, that's also very important. Cyber law, business law, join the civil services, join as a law researcher, as madam is already, the question the madam was asking is already a law researcher, I heard. Join the legal publishing media, join the NHRC if you can, join journalism, write legal articles, join the think tanks. You can join the government services, the Department of Legal Affairs. You can join JAG. So it's a very vast field. There's much more, I'll tell you. Short service commissions are available for the JAG, of course. You have the Arbitration and Conciliation Center now. Mediators have become very important in our dispute resolution mechanisms. You, of course, what I have forgotten is your good selves, the teachers, the gurus, without whom none of us would be here today. That's the most important, isn't it? The public prosecutors, you can go in for higher education, specialize, acquire your doctorates in law. And a combination of an MBA in law is also, I think, a very powerful mode now in the corporate sector. You can become legal advisors. You can become conveyancing and drafting lawyers. You can become legal advisors to NGOs. You can join international organizations which are involved in social work. You have the law coaching centers also. So it's a very, very vast field, madam. But when you say in judicial services, except being a judge or magistrate, what other posts can be aimed for? When you join the judicial services, you have to join as a civil judge or as a magistrate, whatever the high court posts you on. And after that, you have it's at each stage. You can't choose your posting. Once you join service, you can't, that may be the difference in the independence as a lawyer and a judge. You cannot choose your posting as a judge, at least not in India. You cannot choose whether you will be posted as a traffic magistrate, or you will be posted as a POCSO court, or you'll be posted as a civil court or a criminal court. or you will be getting CBI cases, that would be the domain of the High Court to assign you whatever kind of work you get. But of course, if you work well, you get the wonderful postings which are challenging, and challenge is always what is important, and challenge is what makes a person rise.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for actually telling us and informing us regarding the insights of the legal world that, of course, like most of us were not
The
aware
voice
of.
is breaking, Kavya. I cannot.
Ma'am,
The voice is breaking, madam.
Ma'am, is it any better now?
Yes.
All right. So, ma'am, moving on to the next question. It has been asked by Miss Suhani Jain. She asks, out of the AIBE exam, that is the All India Bar Examination, and the Judicial Services Examination, which exam is harder to pass?
Of course, the Judicial Services Examination, All India Bar Examinations, you have your bare acts, you can open them and do it. As I said, I have heard only Haryana and Delhi we allow our bare acts, other parts of the country don't. And a Judicial Services Examination is much more than just the bare act, isn't it? It's an analysis of the law, sometimes in the very preliminary exam, prelims questions also. So definitely the Judicial Services Examinations are harder to pass.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the next question. It has been asked by Mr. Sumit Kumar. He asks, as someone wanting to practice law, what modes does one have except starting their own law firm? How can we pursue judiciary in India? So, ma'am, I think that already, like a lot of insight has already been given by you. Your valuable comments on this, ma'am.
Well, you want to practice law, if you don't want to start your own firm, then you join other lawyers. Join other lawyers, work with them, and then you could start practicing, or you could join, you could be assisting and briefing senior advocates. And how you can pursue judiciary in India, I've already spoken about. If you don't want to start your own firm, there's nothing written that you have to start your own firm. Join other lawyers and work with them. But whatever you do, do it, work hard. That's the only, I think, only path to reaching anywhere. And if you have a problem, you don't understand something, do not shy away of taking assistance from your colleagues, from anyone, from your teachers maybe also. So that's important.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question has been asked by Ms. Reena, and I think this is quite relevant for students like us. Is it better to practice as an advocate first, like we need to gather experience first and then go for the judicial examination, or should a fresh LLB graduate take the examination for judicial services?
Well, as I said, I passed out in 83. I gave my exam in 84. I joined service in 85. I'm before you. There was a time in between when it had become mandatory by the rules that it was required that 3 years of practice in law was necessary to join judicial service. That's been removed. Again, there are talks and conversations going on to the effect that those who come fresh perhaps do not know everything. There are different thoughts on it, but for an examination, I would think coming fresh, it's easier to crack an exam if you're fresh.
Thank you,
Of
ma'am.
course, you may not know the practical nuances. That depends. If the questionnaires have started including practical nuances, that may be difficult. Maybe at the higher judicial service level. At the higher judicial service level, of course, you need that practical examination. But as a fresher into at the level of the judicial service, it's not necessary until the rules make it necessary.
Thank you, ma'am. The next question has been asked by Mr. Akash Singh. He asks, it is said that being an advocate is more kind of adrenaline pumping than being a judge. Is there any truth to this statement?
As I said, I can't hear you, but I can see the question on the screen. I can't hear you. There's something happening in the mic. But well, as I said, it's being a judge is equally challenging when you have sometimes the best brains of the country before you. And that's not necessarily at the High Court, even if the level of a civil judge or of a magistrate, when you have the burning issues, societal issues before you, and when you have difficult issues before you, it's your response to that challenge and that you're able to overcome it and still administer the law. Upholding the Constitution and the law is a very big challenge and is, I think, fascinating.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, is my voice any clear now?
Yes, it's clear now, but it seems it's not in sync with your face because I don't find it. Yes, now maybe.
Or I guess there might be
Now,
certain connections.
now it's better. Now it's better.
Thank you for confirming, ma'am. Ma'am, the next question has been asked by Mr. Ravi, who's currently a research scholar, and he asks, how important are research skills in the life of an advocate or a judge?
Very, very important. Very, very important. Because you see, the law keeps moving, and as Roscoe Pound said, law must be stable but must not stand still. So you have the development of law at every minute. If you see the various, and now we have the internet, we have the various search engines. Even the High Court provides us search engines, and search engines are provided even to the district court judges. So it's important, it's very important that you have your research skills. Now we have the computers, we have our iPads, we have our laptops. And as we said, we are in the system now of e-courts. So to have your research skills is very important so that you at least, are not away from the law. Sometimes you may be thinking of something. You may in your mind think that this is the correct analysis of the law. And that's what your conscience is telling you according to the interpretation of the law. But maybe you're wrong. Maybe the law has been overturned. Maybe the law itself has been set aside. Maybe the judgment that you are aware of and that you have learned may have been set aside or overruled at some stage. So it's very important before you pen down your judgment or even before you make your submissions before the court of law as an advocate, that you are complete, you are well versed, you have updated yourself on the current status of the law as of date, on that date, when you write your judgment or when you address your argument.
Thank you, ma'am. Moving on to the next question, which has been asked anonymously. So it is asked, which field of law has higher chances of growth, both personally as well as financially?
Higher chances of growth, both personally, well, it's both fields. As I said, you have to love what you do. You have to admire what you do. And if you love being a lawyer, well, that's what it is. That helps you grow personally. If you consider the administration of justice and dispensation of justice as important, well, that's what keeps you on top. Financially, well, of course, as a judge, you get only your salary and you must learn to live within it. As a lawyer, you can get, well, different amounts, isn't it? But that's also for your very hard work that you get it.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Ma'am, I personally have one last question, which is, You mentioned about becoming a legal journalist. So I'm pretty much like, I'm very, very, very interested into going into the field of journalism while combining it with the tinge of law. So how can I become a legal journalist after passing this 5-year integrated course in BBA LLB? How can I become a legal journalist?
Well, I think, madam, you'll have to first go through the journalism course, isn't it? I think you'll have to first go through that journalism course, or you do it side by side if there are evening sessions. And then how you enter into the field of journalism, that I can't answer because I've never been one. But yes, it's a thought that yes, the reason why I said is because now we are often very upset with the media trials, isn't it? And if that is so, to be a good legal journalist, if one knows the law, sometimes you see the judge may have said something, and what gets reported is in very different context. And what happens as a result? As a result, there is so much of dissatisfaction sometimes amongst the citizens if they do not understand what was exactly the import of the judgment or in what context it was written. So that is why I felt legal journalism is a very important area. It's a very important area as to how you bring out what is the exact import of what the judge wrote. So you need to join journalism side by side and then give it a chance, maybe, madam.
Thank you so much, ma'am. You indeed clarified all our doubts with crystal clear explanation, and I really appreciate you for that, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Now, I feel honored to inform you all that our Geeta Ratan family had been working very hard on a project for the last 6 months. This project is nonetheless a video which depicts the insights, the vision, as well as the achievements of Geeta Ratan International Business School. Let us all witness this video together.
A promise is what you make to yourself. A promise to explore, innovate, and achieve. It's a driving force that leads you on a path of success. It's all about reshaping your skills, discovering your inspiration, and accelerating it further to uncover your inner potential. At GIBS, we sow the seeds of the global leader, the leaders who behold the power of influencing the world with their expertise and experience. Our vision is to develop business management and law professionals to provide intellectual, emotional, and psychological leadership. Considering these factors, we offer 5 significant courses that are divided into MBA, MBA International Business, BBA First and Second Shift in Department of Management, and BBA LLB Integrated, BA LLB Integrated in Center for Legal Studies.
In a dynamic and ever-changing world, the real challenge is to stay relevant. The skill that is most valued in post-pandemic era is creativity. It is the creative solutions that help us in facing challenges. Can creativity flourish within the boundaries of classroom teaching? I don't think so. We at GIBS create experiences that blur the boundaries between theoretical and practical knowledge. We believe in training professionals who can take decisions and bring positive changes. Come and experience the world with us, and let us together make your dream a reality.
we make sure that every student has access to grab all the opportunities that come their way. Here, you will witness diverse kinds of roles offered by companies in various sectors. A student-centric Industry Institute Partnership Cell, IIPC, brings corporate leaders and students on a common platform to be exposed to multiple opportunities in the professional world. The alumni portal of GIBS connects all the alumni on one single platform, ensuring we are connected wherever we go. We call it the unity of GIBS.
I personally believe professionalism is something which comes with the course of time, but faculty and the management of GIBS make sure with their entire curriculum, with their entire process, they involve a lot of personality development practices that they have done. I was able to see myself as a true professional, and that's kind of training they've given us throughout our course time duration, and even after that. And in fact, if I talk about their placement cell, which I was a part of, I was a student coordinator of them. I was the first person I was placed, and then before my final exams were there, I was holding an offer.
We have different clubs and societies to nurture the talent, growth, and confidence of students.
Hi, my name is Kavya Budhiraja and I'm pursuing law from Geeta Ratan International Business School, Delhi. The reason as to why I chose GIBS was because I was really fascinated looking at the ranking the college holds. GIBS is undoubtedly one of the top-notch colleges of GGSIP University, Delhi.
Round the year, intra-college and inter-college events are scheduled to give a platform to students to showcase their talent and release stress. These moments of cheer, celebration, and solidarity are what we treasure for our life. It's a promise of providing you everything at the finest. At GIBS, we don't teach, we create leaders of tomorrow.
I'm truly grateful to each and every member who has actually given their time as well as dedication into making this video, and I thank you all for making this project come true. Thank you so much. I request everyone to kindly fill in the feedback form which is available in the chat box currently. Now, may I take this opportunity to request our Honorable Head of Department Law, Professor Dr. B.K. Yadav, to kindly give a vote of thanks. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Kavya. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. It has been such an honor to be a part of this wonderful event. On behalf of the organization, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, Justice Anu Malhotra, Honorable High Court, New Delhi, for enlightening the students and law aspirant. On behalf of Geeta Ratan International Business School, I express my heartfelt thanks to Ms. Sri R.N. Jindal sir, Chairman, and Sri Anirudh Jindal sir, Energetic Vice Chairman, Mrs. Prachi Jindal, Dean Corporate Affairs, and our respected Dr. Hanuman Prasad, Director. I would like to thank all the participants who have made this event huge success with their participation. I would also like to thank the organizing team teachers, staff members, students, parents to make this event a grand success. Thank you, all of you. I would like to inform you regarding the GIBS Talk Season 1, Episode 3. Theme of this episode is Unlimited Opportunity of Integrated Law Courses. And our keynote speaker will be Aishwarya Bhati, Additional Solicitor General of India, New Delhi, and that will be held on 6th August. So link will be available on your screen as well as in the chat box. So please join us for this wonderful event for the next week. Ma'am has explained all the things in very beautiful word, and truly ma'am has explained the real scenario of the classes of the law courses. Ma'am, we are all agree with your ideology that there must be some practical aspect in the law. Only teaching of section and article is not sufficient. And this is the dream of our energetic Vice Chairman Sri Arunit Jindal sir, that the course should be divided into 60% based on the practical experiences. That's why we have been sending our students to different courts, different ADR system. We are conducting moot court sessions in our college on the daily basis. Recently, we had conducted national moot court competition. More than 100 teams were participated in it, and that was a great success. At the same time, I would like to inform all of you that our college is going to conduct Justicia. This is the program, and it would be based for the mediation, law Olympiad, quiz, ADR system, etc. At the same time, I would like to inform all of you that in our teaching system, we have PowerPoint presentation system in which we are practicing law cases as well as debate skills and different judgmental skill. We are all very thankful to ma'am that ma'am has explained very nicely that how to get the judgmental skill, how to get the skill for being a lawyer, and how to be successful in the life. So thank you very much to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, with this, we have come to an end of today's wonderful session. Indeed, I feel blessed to hear Justice Anu Malhotra, I'm really sorry, on the topic. And I believe that every attendee must have got immense information. Once again, I extend my sincere reverence on behalf of Center for Legal Studies, Geeta Ratan International Business School, to you, ma'am, for kindly agreeing to spend your precious time here with us and making this evening indeed lovely for all of us. I'm also thankful to all the attendees for kindly putting up through your provoking questions in the episode in order to make it even more vibrant. I humbly request you to kindly rejoin us in the third episode of the GIBS Talk Law Season 1 on 6th of August 2022 at 5:30 p.m. This session would be chaired by Ms. Aishwarya Bhati, Honorable Additional Solicitor General of India. Thank you so much, everyone, for your time. See you all in the next episode of the GIBS Talk Law Season 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Anu ma'am. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much.